Hi guys! Welcome back to ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel. Today we will learn about the issue that has brought emotional turmoil, unexpected revelations, and a life-altering secret into the lives of some of the most central characters in Port Charles. This new twist revolves around Willow Tate, Michael Corinthos, Drew Cain, and a secret that could fracture bonds forever if exposed. What begins as a plea for forgiveness ends in a confession that shifts the very foundation of a family. Let's dive straight into this gripping, long-awaited development. After weeks of strained silence and emotional fallout, Willow Tate has reached her breaking point. The fallout from her abrupt decision to cancel her wedding to Drew Cain still lingers heavily over her life. Since that day, she has watched her world unravel. Her ties to Michael and Carly have been severed, her access to Wiley and Amelia denied, and her reputation in Port Charles slowly crumbling under judgment and distance. Willow may have made the bold decision to walk away from Drew at the altar, but it's clear that decision came with painful consequences she didn't fully anticipate. Despite her reasons for calling off the wedding, most notably learning that Drew had once slept with Nina, her estranged biological mother, she has found herself alone and locked out of the two most important relationships in her life, her bond with Michael and her role as a mother to Wiley and Amelia. With nowhere left to turn, Willow made one final attempt to reconcile with Carly and Michael, asking them to allow her at least some visitation with her children. She admitted her regrets, owned her mistakes, and made her case from a place of sincerity. But Carly and Michael remained firm. They declined her request permanently. Michael, still carrying the weight of betrayal from their collapsed marriage, and Carly, who now views Willow as someone no longer fit to parent the children she once nurtured, shut the door completely. Willow was devastated. But from the most unexpected place, a small sliver of grace appeared. Drew, despite his own lingering hurt from being jilted at the altar, witnessed Willow's plea and decided to step in on her behalf. In a move that surprised everyone, including Willow, Drew approached Michael privately and spoke on her behalf. He acknowledged his own mistakes but insisted that Willow's love for Wiley and Amelia was genuine. He asked Michael to consider letting her have just a few supervised visits. Michael didn't commit, but the conversation planted a seed of reconsideration. For Willow, Drew's act of compassion in her darkest moment meant more than words could express. She had rejected him, humiliated him, exposed his past to the world, and still, he had spoken up for her. It broke something open in her and made her realize that she could not leave Port Charles without first telling Drew the truth. A truth that had remained buried for over 3 years. A truth that would redefine everything. Willow reached out to Drew and asked to speak with him privately, away from the eyes and ears of anyone else. They met at a quiet park near the edge of town, one of the last places untouched by recent turmoil. She thanked him for what he had done. Then she dropped the bombshell. 3 years ago, in a moment neither of them had spoken about since, they had spent a night together. It was the night of a party, a fundraiser. Emotions were high. Alcohol was flowing freely. They had both been vulnerable, lonely, and under intense emotional strain. One drink turned into several. Laughter turned into closeness. And by the end of the night, they had ended up in bed together. Drew had been very drunk, so much so that he didn't remember it. And Willow had chosen to let it go until she discovered a few weeks later that she was pregnant. At the time, Willow and Michael's marriage was strong. They were happy. They had just welcomed Wiley into their lives and were settling into their routine. Willow didn't think twice. She told Michael he was the father, and he believed her, as did everyone else. The baby was born, and they named her Amelia. Michael had loved her from the beginning, raised her, and considered her no different from Wiley. Willow had tried to move on from that one night with Drew, hoping it would never surface. But now, with everything falling apart, Willow couldn't leave without acknowledging the truth. Drew deserved to know. Amelia is his daughter. Drew sat in stunned silence. The idea that he had a child and had raised her unknowingly as Michael's was almost too much to comprehend. He replayed every memory of Amelia in his mind, Her smile, her laugh, the way she had always seemed so connected to him even before he dated Willow. He had dismissed it as affection between stepfather and child. But now it made sense. He looked at Willow and asked the only question that mattered. Why now? Willow's voice trembled, but she didn't waver. She told him that she had planned to take the secret to her grave. But his kindness, his loyalty even after she broke his heart had changed something in her. She realized that he had the right to know. She said she didn't want anything from him, not money, not support, not even shared custody, but she wanted him to know his daughter before she left town. And yes, Willow still planned to leave. Port Charles had become a cage of guilt and grief. She needed space to find herself again. But before she left, she wanted to be honest and to give Drew a chance to be in Amelia's life however he saw fit. Drew struggled to process it all. He was angry, heartbroken, overwhelmed, but also filled with something else, hope. A part of him had been drifting since Scout grew older. He missed being a full-time father. And now, in the most unexpected way, life had given him another chance. Still, there was a catch. Michael. Drew and Willow both understood that telling Michael the truth now would cause unimaginable destruction. Michael had been raising Amelia with love and devotion. Finding out he was not her biological father would devastate him. It could also send him into legal warfare, and that's something neither of them wanted. So they agreed Michael would never know. Willow and Drew made a pact. For Amelia's sake and for Michael's, they would keep the truth buried. They would protect Amelia's world, even if it meant carrying the weight of the secret themselves. Drew would slowly begin building a deeper relationship with Amelia as an uncle, perhaps, or a family friend, and eventually be more involved if the time was right. There would be no paternity tests, no drama, just quiet presence, support, love. Willow's departure was set for the following week. She packed her things quietly, avoiding final goodbyes with most of the town. Only Carly knew she was leaving, and Carly didn't object. Michael assumed she was going away to heal. He remained cold, but civil. As Willow looked at Amelia one last time before leaving, she whispered, "Daddy loves you. He always has." And for the first time in weeks, she smiled not from joy, but from a strange sense of peace. She had done something right. At last. And Drew? He stood outside, holding a drawing Amelia had made for him earlier that day. A small stick figure labeled Uncle Drew with a sun in the corner. He knew that someday she might know the full story. But until then, he would protect her, as silently and fiercely as only a father could. Next, we will dive into the explosive drama surrounding Carly Spencer's impending heartbreak as she uncovers her daughter Jesslyns Joss Jack's hidden double life as a WSB operative. In the bustling world of Port Charles, where secrets fester like hidden wounds, Carly Spencer finds herself teetering on the edge of a revelation that could shatter her carefully rebuilt world. Unbeknownst to her, Joss has been living a high-stakes existence as a federal agent for the World Security Bureau, a path she embarked on following the tragic loss of her boyfriend, Dex Heller. This covert journey began in the shadows of grief, with Joss channeling her pain into a dangerous new purpose after she took drastic action against Cyrus Renault in a moment of raw desperation. Recruited by none other than the charismatic WSB chief Jack Brennan, whom Carly is currently romancing with increasing passion, Joss's involvement adds layers of personal betrayal to the mix. Imagine Carly's shock when she learns that her budding relationship with Jack isn't just a fresh start but a tangled web intertwined with her daughter's perilous secrets. Fans are already buzzing about how this discovery might echo past heartaches in Carly's life, reminiscent of her turbulent history with Sonny Corinthos, where trust was repeatedly tested by layers of deception. To flesh this out, let's consider the intricate details of Joss's recruitment. It wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision, but a calculated move by Jack, who saw potential in Joss's fierce determination and quick thinking, traits she inherited from her mother's resilient spirit. Adding a new twist to the narrative, whispers among insiders suggest that Joss's first assignment involved decoding encrypted messages linked to an underground network. a skill she honed during late-night sessions that Carly dismissed as typical college stress. This secret life has forced Joss to fabricate alibis, like her supposed study abroad excursion to Easter Island, which was actually a rigorous WSB training camp disguised as a tropical getaway. There, under the guise of archaeological digs, Joss learned survival tactics, espionage techniques, and even basic cryptography, all while sending postcards home to maintain the illusion. The irony deepens as Carly, oblivious to these developments, has been confiding in Jack about her worries over Joss's recent distant behavior, unknowingly fueling the very man orchestrating the charade. As the truth inches closer, perhaps triggered by an overheard conversation or a misplaced gadget in Joss's purse, Carly's world could implode, leaving her to question not just her romantic choices, but her role as a protective mother in a town rife with danger. Compounding Carly's potential devastation is the looming sting from those she considers allies, particularly Anna Devane and Dante Falconeri, who have pieced together Joss's WSB affiliation but chosen silence to safeguard the mission. Anna, with her own storied past as a double agent and WSB veteran, discovered Joss's involvement during a routine intelligence briefing, where Joss's code-name Phoenix popped up in connection to a high-profile operation. Dante, ever the dutiful detective, stumbled upon clues while investigating related crimes in Port Charles, including subtle ties to Professor Henry Hank Dalton's ambitious tech empire, which involves revolutionary AI-driven surveillance tools that could upend global security. Inventing a fresh layer here, let's explore how Dalton's scheme isn't just about gadgets, but a broader conspiracy to manipulate information flows, potentially endangering civilians like those in Carly's circle. Joss partnered with the enigmatic operative Vanna character with a mysterious backstory involving a betrayed alliance in Eastern Europe has been delving into this plot, using her youthful innocence as a cover to infiltrate Dalton's inner circle at elite galas and tech conferences. This partnership has added emotional depth to Joss's arc, as Vaughn serves as a mentor figure, teaching her the harsh realities of fieldwork while reminding her of the personal costs, much like Anna's own regrets from her espionage days. Meanwhile, Anna and Dante's vow of secrecy stems from a pact made in a dimly lit PCPD office, where they debated the ethics of informing Carly, ultimately deciding that operational security trumped family ties. For Carly, this omission will feel like a profound betrayal, especially given her history of relying on Anna's counsel during crises, such as the fallout from Nina Reeves' deceptions. Fans speculate that Carly might first sense the rift through subtle a hesitant pause in Anna's voice during a coffee chat or Dante's evasive eyes at a family gathering building. Tension like a slow-burning fuse. To expand on this, picture a new invented scene where Carly overhears Anna and Dante whispering about the recruit's progress at Kelly's diner, igniting her suspicions without fully revealing the puzzle. This silence isn't born from malice but from a protective instinct, yet it risks alienating Carly further, pushing her into a corner of isolation where old insecurities resurface, like her fears of being sidelined in her own family's decisions. As the storyline hurtles toward its climactic confrontation, the question on every viewer's mind is whether Carly will unleash her legendary fury or succumb to the crushing weight of these compounded lies. In a town like Port Charles, where vendettas fuel the drama, Carly's reaction could redefine alliances and spark ripple effects across multiple plot lines. Will she storm into Jack's office, demanding answers about his role in recruiting Joss, or will she first corner her daughter in a tearful bedroom showdown, unraveling the web of fabrications that started with that fateful shot at Cyrus? Adding inventive flair, envision a dramatic pivot where Carly, upon discovery, uncovers additional secrets like Joss's near miss during a training exercise on Easter Island, where a simulated hostage scenario nearly turned deadly, leaving her with a hidden scar as a badge of her commitment. This could amplify Carly's maternal rage, blending heartbreak with a fierce protectiveness that echoes her past battles for her children's safety. Moreover, the betrayal from Anna and Dante might prompt Carly to revisit old grudges, perhaps drawing parallels to how Anna once concealed her own daughter's identity issues, adding a meta layer of irony. Fan theories abound, with some predicting Carly will go full scorched earth, confronting each party in a series of intense scenes, a public blowout with Jack at the Metro Court, a private reckoning with Joss at home, and stern warnings to Anna and Dante that could strain their professional ties. Others foresee a more introspective Carly crumbling initially under the emotional load before rising phoenix-like, much like Joss's code name, to demand accountability from all involved. We can't overlook the possibility of forgiveness, tempered by understanding the greater good of Joss's mission against Dalton's tech threat, which might involve hacking into Port Charles's own security systems, endangering characters like Sam McCall or even Michael Corinthos. Ultimately, as General Hospital builds to this powder keg moment, we're cheering for Carly to harness her inner strength, ensuring no one escapes her scrutiny, not just the charming Jack, who might try to spin his actions as protective, but every secret keeper who left her in the dark. Next, we will explore the intriguing mystery of why Sonny Corinthos hasn't yet unleashed his fury on Drew Kane, the current most despised figure in Port Charles who's wreaking havoc on the Corinthos family and beyond. In the chaotic underbelly of Port Charles, where alliances shift like shadows and vendettas simmer eternally, Drew Kane has emerged as the undisputed antagonist of the hour, drawing universal disdain from residents and viewers alike. This once respected Quartermain heir has morphed into a calculating schemer, alienating everyone from business rivals to his own kin with a series of ruthless maneuvers that have left the town reeling. As whispers of rebellion grow louder, a handful of bold Port Charles denizens are stepping up to orchestrate his downfall, plotting in hushed corners of the Metro Court or the docks, armed with evidence of his misdeeds. Yet, conspicuously absent from this coalition is the formidable mob kingpin Sonny Corinthos, a man whose reputation for swift and merciless retribution precedes him like a storm cloud. Fans are left scratching their heads, pondering why Sonny, the enforcer who has toppled empires and silenced threats with chilling efficiency, remains eerily passive in the face of Drew's escalating offenses. To add a fresh layer to this enigma, imagine Drew's villainy extending beyond the obvious. Perhaps he's been secretly funneling Quartermain resources into shady offshore deals, not just to bolster his congressional campaign, but to undermine local businesses like Sonny's coffee import empire, creating economic ripples that affect everyday folks in town. This invented subplot could explain the growing chorus of hatred as characters like Nina Reeves or Willow Tate uncover forged documents linking Drew to these schemes, fueling their determination to expose him. Sonny's history paints him as a predator who doesn't hesitate to deploy brutal tactics. Picture him in past showdowns, where adversaries face the cold barrel of a gun. The terror of dangling from industrial meat hooks in dimly lit warehouses, or savage beatings orchestrated by his loyal enforcers. His business acumen is equally cutthroat, outmaneuvering competitors with a blend of charm and intimidation. But nothing ignites his wrath like threats to his familiar sacred line that, once crossed, invites total annihilation. Recall the explosive fallout with FBI agent John Cates, who dared to endanger Sonny's daughter Christina by using her as leverage in a federal sting. Sonny's response was a masterclass in vengeance, blending calculated strikes with raw power that left Cates scrambling for survival. Now juxtapose that with Drew's brazen assaults. He's systematically dismantled his nephew Michael's marriage to Willow by exploiting vulnerabilities like Willow's hidden leukemia battle, inserting himself into their lives with manipulative affection that borders on obsession. Drew's bid for custody of Michael's children, Amelia and Wiley, wasn't just legal warfare, but a psychological siege, complete with fabricated stories painting Michael as unstable, all while Drew parades his political ambitions as a facade for personal gain. Inventing a new detail here, let's delve into how Drew's torment extends to the broader community. Perhaps he's been lobbying for zoning changes that threaten beloved landmarks like Kelly's Diner, endangering jobs and stirring unrest among blue-collar residents who now view him as a heartless opportunist. This widespread torture of Port Charles has fans clamoring for justice, yet Sonny's silence stands out like a glaring anomaly, defying the very essence of his character as the ultimate family guardian. The peculiarity of Sonny's inaction becomes even more baffling when examining specific flashpoints where one would expect his explosive intervention. Typically, Sunny operates on a hair trigger when it comes to protecting his loved ones, issuing veiled threats, or mobilizing his network at the slightest provocation. Take, for instance, the tense hospital ordeal involving his young son with Carly Spencer Drew. In a power play disguised as concern, barred both parents from the boy's bedside, citing some contrived authority from his Quartermain ties. In Sunny's playbook, such an affront would warrant at least a menacing visit from his associates. Perhaps a late-night chat in a deserted parking garage where warnings are delivered with unspoken menace. Instead, Sunny held his tongue, allowing the insult to fester without retaliation. This restraint persisted through Drew's more insidious moves, like his attempt to gaslight innocent Wiley by feeding the child twisted narratives about his father's supposed failings, planting seeds of doubt in a vulnerable young mind during supervised visits that Drew manipulated for his advantage. Adding an inventive twist to heighten the drama, envision a hidden scene where Drew, in a bid to solidify his custody claim, secretly records these interactions, editing them to portray Michael as aggressive, a tape that could surface later and ignite courtroom fireworks. Sunny's failure to counter this, even with a subtle sabotage like leaking counter-evidence to the press, feels out of character for a man who once orchestrated the downfall of rivals like Julian Jerome over far lesser slights. Perhaps this quietude stems from Sunny's overloaded plate as a mob boss navigating treacherous waters. He's been locked in a high-stakes turf war with the cunning arms dealer Lorenzo Sidwell, who eyes Sunny's valuable peers for smuggling operations, forcing Sunny to divert resources and manpower to fortify his holdings. Compounding this is the relentless pursuit by ambitious ADA Molly Lansing Davis Turner, whose investigations into Sunny's enterprises have intensified, sniffing around financial records and witness testimonies that could unravel his empire. The sudden tragedy of Natalia Ramirez's death, perhaps tied to a botched alliance or accidental crossfire in Sunny's world, has added emotional baggage, stirring guilt and distraction as he processes the loss. On a brighter yet complicating note, the revelation that Gio Palmieri is his long-lost grandson has injected unexpected joy and responsibility, prompting Sunny to prioritize bonding over vendettas. Maybe even attending family events that pull him away from confrontations. Layering in a new element, consider Sunny's recent heart surgery, a vulnerable chapter where he faced mortality head-on, emerging with a scarred chest and a prescription for caution. Doctors might have warned him against stress-inducing conflicts, leading him to delegate or delay actions that could spike his blood pressure. All these pressures converge, painting a picture of a mobster stretched thin, possibly explaining why the Drew debacle hasn't risen to the top of his hit list. Amid this whirlwind of distractions, alternative theories swirl about Sunny's strategy, suggesting his silence might be a deliberate chess move rather than oversight. He could be under the impression that Michael, now securely holding custody of his kids after a hard-fought legal battle bolstered by allies like Diane Miller, has the situation under control after all. Michael's own Quartermain savvy and determination mirror Sunny's, allowing the father to step back and let his son handle the family honor. Yet, knowing Sunny's calculated nature, it's plausible he's lurking in the shadows, patiently gathering intel like a spider weaving its web, waiting for Drew's overconfidence to create the perfect vulnerability. Drew's elaborate house of cards built on lies, illicit affairs, think his steamy entanglements with Nina that fractured relationships, and political machinations teeters on the brink of collapse, perhaps accelerated by emerging scandals, such as leaked emails revealing campaign finance irregularities tied to shady donors. Inventing a dramatic escalation, picture Sunny discreetly funding a private investigator to dig into Drew's past Navy SEAL days, uncovering discrepancies in his heroic tales that could dismantle his public image, all while Sunny bides his time for a strike at Drew's lowest ebb, maybe during a humiliating election loss or personal breakdown. This approach aligns with Sunny's modus operandi of striking surgically, ensuring maximum impact without unnecessary exposure. As General Hospital hurtles toward what promises to be Drew's spectacular undoing, fans are on the edge of their seats, eagerly anticipating the moment when karma catches up. Whether through legal reckonings, social ostracism, or a direct Corinthos intervention, the burning question lingers: Are you as astonished as we are that Sunny hasn't yet pounced on Drew? Or do you suspect he's merely playing the long game in true mobster fashion? Whatever unfolds, this storyline is poised to deliver fireworks, reminding us why Port Charles remains the epicenter of soap opera intrigue. Stay tuned for more twists. GH Faithful.